I believe that anyone can make a positive difference in the world, great and small. I see it every day. And you don't have to be a celebrity or billionaire to do it. All you really need is the desire to use your unique gifts, talents, and passions, and then to simply begin. Hi, I'm Linda Mackey, and welcome to The Eloquent Entrepreneur, a place where I have conversations with everyday changemakers just like you. Join us and hear inspiring stories, hard-won wisdom, and discover practical tools to help you accelerate your impact. So whatever you're doing right now, listen in and prepare to be inspired.
I'm here with my dear friend, Carmel Ecker. He is a friend and a client, and she's joining us today on the Eloquent Entrepreneur Conversations with Everyday Changemakers, and she is definitely one of those. I've gotten to know Carmel. I guess it's been a few years now that we've met. Is that right?
Yeah,
we met through, I believe, the eWomen Network. And we've been friends since day one, I think. And we got to do some amazing photos. And we've had so many amazing times and conversations. And I really wanted to get you on the show because you've had an interesting career so far. You are now... you are a single parent, but you're on a mission now in your business to empower other single parents to live a life without limits. And I'm really excited for you to share what that means and what you do and everything. So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you feel you're making an impact in your community.
Okay. Ooh, that's a lot of questions all right at the get-go. So who I am, yes, I've had an interesting journey. It didn't start out that interesting. I went to university and I decided I was going to follow writing because I really enjoyed English. I enjoyed writing. I enjoyed reading, all things on there. So I thought, okay, hey, I'll go and I'll be a writer, and then I'll be an editor, and that'll be great. And so I started following that path and did become a writer. I worked at a small community newspaper for a number of years and ended up training on the job to be a graphic designer, which was really fun. I happened to work at the military newspaper here in Victoria. And so being a reporter, there was a really cool job. I got to go out on every class of ship that we had. I got to go up in a Sea King when they were still part of our air fleet. I've been out on American Minesweeper. I've been out on aircraft carrier. So it was a really cool job. But I also found that it just wasn't really fulfilling.
Yeah.
And I did meet my husband, my now ex-husband, in that job. So I got my son out of the deal. So that's fantastic. And some really powerful life lessons. And becoming a single parent is actually what spurred me on this personal growth journey, because it really made me stop and check, okay, what am I doing with my life? What is this path that I've been following? And is it the path that I really want? I was just kind of caught in this place of, have I been following my path, or have I been following like the socially acceptable path? And, and what I determined was that, I don't think that I've really chosen my path yet. So I started doing a lot of personal development work, which I've continued and do continue to do now. Part of being a coach is actually continuing to be coached.
It never ends, really, does it?
It never ends, no. Mm-hmm. And so then I decided to actually become a coach, and I signed up for training with the Coactive Training Institute. And as part of deciding what I was, because it's a broad, like when you become a coach, there's so many ways you can coach people. You can coach them in their career. You can be a general life coach. You can coach them. There's transformational coaches. There's just unlimited options.
Many. It gets confusing and overwhelming, I think.
Yeah. And so I looked at my own experience and I said, well, you know what? As a single parent, I went from that place of struggling and feeling like, oh, God, like what now? And through coaching, got to a place of feeling like I'm thriving. Is life perfect? No, but I don't think it ever is. But I'm on a very fulfilling journey, and I decided I would really like to give that gift to other single parents of figuring out what now. Where to now? Where do I want to direct my energy at this point in my life and get them not so focused on the struggle that they have of being a single parent, but looking up and looking more to the future, right?
Yeah.
What do I want to create for myself beyond, what's going on right now?
Right. So looking more for solutions versus, okay, what are my problems and how am I going to overcome them?
Yeah,
which I think it sounds like a way more positive, that I think anyone, even if you're not a single parent, you could use that kind of shift in mindset to, look at ways to thrive versus, okay, well, what are the problems? Like, you know what I mean? Like shifting the focus a bit there.
Yeah, shifting the focus. And I think the important thing is you're shifting the focus to self, right?
Right.
You're not so focused on, one of the things we talk about is coach the person, not the problem, right? So I'm not necessarily here to help anyone solve a specific problem in their life. We're there to look at, okay, so what are the conditions that have caused this problem to arise? And what do you need to be, who do you need to become in order to deal with that challenge and all the challenges that come after it? So it's a very transformational process. It's focused more inward than externally.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes more sense, because the more fulfilled we are as people, then the more we can give and do and be basically in our lives. So yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So really your switch from your previous career as a graphic designer to coach was really born out of your own situation, your own personal, I guess, struggles, being a single mom, a newly single mom, and small business owner, right? Because you have to deal with all that as well. So, and I've watched you through this whole process. So, and you've actually done some work for me as a graphic designer as well, which I forgot to mention. But, I've obviously been watching you over the last few years and just seeing every stage, of your journey. And it's been really inspiring. So was there anything, like, I know you've talked about your story. There's other elements, I think, in there as well, because you're an avid mountain biker. I think you have a lot of inspiration, because this is really what I think this show is about, is really, how can we inspire people to, because when we become entrepreneurs or change makers or business owners who want to make a difference, it's usually out of, like in your situation, it's born out of a struggle or a challenge that we've had, or it's for other inspirational reasons. Like, I'm inspired by nature. I'm inspired by, my kids, because I want to make a better world for them. Was there anything to add to your story that really inspires you to do this work and keep doing it?
Yeah. I'm glad that you bring that up, because one of the reasons that I do what I do is because I have a son, and I want him to see that he can create whatever he wants to in the world. And I think this is actually a really big driver for my business. It's not so much about, making the business as successful as possible. Like, lots of people talk about 6 figures and, hitting $1 million, and that's all really lovely. And if I hit those, fantastic. Like, I will be ecstatic, because it means I'm making huge impact in the world. If I'm making that much money, I am touching so many people, COVID friendly, in a COVID friendly way. Like that just fills my heart. But I really, I grew up in a family where, well, and I don't quite know that it was my family, but I made up a story in my head when I was a kid that people in my family are not entrepreneurs. I can't be an entrepreneur. Like this, there is this, I get a job, the typical path. You get a job, you find a spouse, you buy a house, you have a kid, and you live happily ever after, right? You follow the trajectory. And so that was the path that I thought I needed to follow. And I didn't think that I could do anything else. Like I literally did not think I could be successful on my own. And it's a little embarrassing to say that because I come from a family of strong women. Mm-hmm. So where did that story come from? I don't know.
I think it's in the collective consciousness, to be honest. I mean, I kind of felt like that too. Like I just had this vision of, this is what I'm going to do at each stage. Like 20, when I'm in my 20s, I'm going to do this. In my 30s, I'm going to get married, and have kids. And, I think it's not uncommon, I don't think. And you probably found that in your practice so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the same for women? Or sorry, is that the same for men as well, do you think? Or it's probably more so for women, do you think?
I suspect that it's different for men. I mean, I'm not an expert in the, how men and women view, success in the world and what they're supposed to do and all that. But, but yeah, I'm not sure if that's something that, but I think there is this sense in society that you're supposed to partner up and forge forward, in this powerful partnership, and it should be forever. And, and that doesn't actually work for a lot of people, and it's not even necessary.
Right. Yeah. And nor does having kids. I mean, there's this idea that, just because you're a fertile woman that you have to have kids or, whatever. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I mean, I know a lot of couples that have chosen not to have kids. So that's another thing that you don't have to, or even have a partner. You can live your life solely, on your own, and just be on your own. So, but that's the thing, right? We all have this kind of pre-written ideas in our heads. For some reason, they've been planted there. And so that's the challenge, is to sort of like I've heard you say, we need to rewrite our story to what we want it to be. So I love that.
And it's so true. We do need to rewrite our story. We need to, and I would love to see people, younger and younger people, evaluating what are the stories in their head and what of it is actually true, and what of it do they want to say, you know what, I don't believe that. I'm going to choose not to believe that because it doesn't serve the future that I want for myself.
Right. Yeah. And that's very powerful in itself.
Yeah. Understanding that the stories in your head are just that. They're stories, right? And you get to choose to change them at any time.
So that's a big part of your coaching then, is guiding people to help them change their mindset and story, basically, so that they can shift and thrive versus focusing on the issues or problems as the level they exist.
Yeah. I have a little mini email program that I've just created, and I'm just waiting for the final on, like, all the automation is ready.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So I'm very excited about that. It's going to be coming up very soon. But in it, I talk about, kind of these 5 elements of kind of reevaluating and deciding what your life is going to look like going forward. And the first step is mindset. And it's so important. I liken it to it's like the operating system on a computer, right? Whatever your mindset is going to determine whatever, extra software you can pile up on top of that, right? Mm-hmm. If you try to install software that's not compatible with that operating system, that mindset, then it's not going to work.
Yeah. So that's a really cool analogy. Yeah. I like
Yeah,
that.
you have to
I'm gonna
tackle
use
that mindset. What are the beliefs that you
Yeah.
have about yourself and the world and your situation?
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Yeah. I'm going to use that.
Awesome.
Is this program compatible with my brain right now or my mindset? Should I? Yeah. So have you had any challenges along the way, just in your journey from your previous career to now? Like, what have you been your main challenges, and I guess how did you overcome them?
Yeah, well, when I first started in this life coaching journey, I actually thought that I wanted to coach teens. Because as a teen myself, I did not know what I wanted to do with my life. Like, I picked a career because I needed to pick a career, but
Yeah. It's like,
I
oh my
didn't
God, I
actually,
better pick something.
yeah, I better pick something because like there's all these expectations that I'm going to go to university and I'm going to get a degree. And well, I guess I have to pick something in order to do that. So
Yeah.
I did pick something, and I by no means regret it, but I just didn't really know how to choose what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And so originally, and I still bring this into my coaching practice with single parents because I think it's really important. But the original intention was to go through values, like help people understand what their values are and allow those to be like a North Star, a guiding light for them in the path ahead so that they can make decisions, choices that were in alignment with the beliefs that they hold most dear in their life, right? About how they want to live. And I can't really say that I know why I switched, but and at times it has felt very like, oh, I'm doing this, and now I'm doing this, and now I'm doing this. Because I have been, but one of the things that I'm realizing is that if you are not, I'll label it failing because it wasn't something that I followed through with for a long period of time, and I may still come back to it, but like we have to be able to fail at things. We need to be able to try something and say, ooh, that didn't work, or I don't know that that's really the path that I want to follow, and allow ourselves to pivot, which is like the official word of 2020, pivot.
Yeah.
But
without dwelling on the negative of failure, because I think that's where a lot of people get stuck.
Without beating yourself up and actually labeling it as a failure. Instead, and I love, and Terry Kerr, I love how she says, it's all just data, right? I tried something, I got a bunch of data from it, and based on the data, I went, I don't think this is the path. I'm gonna, let's pick one of these other 60 paths that are in front of me.
Hey, and that ties into the computer again. So maybe if you look at yourself like a computer, that you're just gathering data, that's for you to really utilize that information and make better choices versus, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure, or I screwed up on that one, Yeah. No, that's really cool.
So it's been, a little bit bumpy, and there's times where I've been like, oh my God, what are people going to think? The fact that I went from this to this to this to this, in such a short period of time. And at the end of the day, I have to trust that it doesn't really matter,
Well, and that's another bump that people come into is, what are people going to think? Oh, I've changed careers so many times, or this, that, and the other. And, that can really be a stumbling block, I think, for a lot of people, whether you're single or whatever, I know, I can relate to that a little bit, but I think it's quite common. Like if you have a hard time, finding your path or finding your why or finding your purpose, it's not always easy, but all those little bumps are there for a reason.
Yeah.
To set you on the right path.
Yeah, if we get too focused on trying to do it right? Like we get stuck in that, some people call it analysis paralysis, right? Where we're exploring these areas and we don't want to move forward until we're sure that it's going to work, until we're sure that it's the thing that we're meant to do, until we're, that idea of doing it right. And there just is no doing it right. Like there's
the perfectionism thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it keeps you from actually figuring it out.
Yeah.
So
big time. Yeah. Well, that sounds amazing. So are you working with youth at all, or just mainly adult single parents? That's your main focus now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was awesome that you figured that out along the way. That, yes. This is really where my passion is. And so what was the kind of clincher for you that made you, the light bulb go off for that, like in terms of your ideal client that you want to focus on, which is single parents?
Yeah, I think it was that, part of it was a little bit self-serving. And then, I love the idea of community. And I just thought, can I build a community, a supportive community with youth right now at this point in my life? And I just wasn't convinced that was actually what I wanted to do. And what I really felt I wanted to do was be in community with parents who are in a similar situation to me, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just at a little earlier point in the journey where we could all support each other. Because and I get real fired up about it.
Yeah, I know.
Because we've created this society where all our families, we're all in these silos, right? And we pretend that we're all like these distinct units. And the reality is that like none of us does this alone. Not really. I mean, some of us try, and it's really hard. And why would we do it the hard way when we can do it an easier way? And building community with people, whether they are in your local area or, farther away, and have offer each other more moral support as opposed to physical support. You can have both. We need both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, it makes sense to me, like knowing you and looking in from the outside, is that you are your ideal client, maybe from a few years ago. So it's intimate knowledge that you already have inside you. You can relate to your single parent clients much more easily because you've been through it and you're still on the journey as well. So yeah, it makes total sense to me that, and then you can build a community of, like-minded people that you can relate to and they can relate to you, and trust you, because you are and have been on the journey. So you can help them at whatever stage they're at, where they're at, kind of thing. So that's awesome. So if you were to give some advice to, perhaps somebody who's a new entrepreneur, somebody who's have an existing business, like how maybe they want to make a difference in the world. Would you have any advice to give them?
Yes.
With regards to that? Okay.
It's great. This was actually a question in a Facebook group not that long ago.
Oh, okay.
And the thing that I would say that they need to figure out first is, who do they want to help and how do they want to help them? Those are so critical. It doesn't matter how much money you want to make. It doesn't matter like what you whatever aspirations you have for your business, you have to figure out who you want to help and how you want to help them. And then go test that. Is that actually a need that those people have?
Yeah.
Right?
Is it something they want?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get curious and explore and talk to people. Don't try building something what we call is at the whiteboard, where you're just like, you're designing something and it's all theory. You have no idea if there's a practical application, if people want what you have. At some point you have to take it out into the world and talk to people and ask them questions. Is this something that you think you need or that you want? How much would you be willing to pay for it? Those kinds of questions, right?
Right. Did you do that just in passing, or did you have like a questionnaire you sent out, or how did you do it?
I did actual question. Now, I didn't do this when I opened my graphic design business, because I just, I was like, this is what I do. I know people need it. So I'm just going to go do it. There's no shortage of businesses needing graphic design work. But for my single parenting coaching, yes, absolutely. I went and did some research on it, and actually with the teen idea as well, even though I didn't follow through on that. I definitely did. And I continue to do interviews with single parents to find out what their challenges are. What do they want? What do they need? What are their dreams for the future? Like, it's all,
Yeah, it makes sense for that. I mean, because there's some things that, like photography, obviously everybody needs photography, but like for what you're doing and similar kind of like stuff that's sort of maybe not so conventional in counseling. I don't know. I mean, but I think, for something like that where I don't know if there's a lot of people out there doing what you're doing, like that are focused solely on, so that's important to really kind of talk to people and just find out kind of what their needs are. So that's really great advice. Thank you.
Yeah. And even if you know that there's a need, talking to people gives you an opportunity to learn exactly what their problems are. It gives you an opportunity to see exactly what they're like, how do they describe their problems, so that when you go out and you advertise, market what you do, you're using the language that resonates with them.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, especially in these times too, with the rise in, divorce and domestic abuse and all that kind of stuff, like due to COVID and just the challenges that we've had. So I think what you're doing is really, really important right now, especially. So I'm so happy for you and all the things. So from 5 years from now, do you have, like, what are your dreams and aspirations for your business and your ultimate vision and how you want to make an impact?
How much time do you have?
In 5 words or no, I'm just kidding.
No, I see this going beyond, and you actually talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm an avid mountain biker, and I actually see mountain biking having a transformative impact on particularly on women's lives. Maybe not as much on men, but for women. Mm-hmm. And like, I was there's a local mountain bike club here called the Dirty Rose Bike Club, and I was quite active in it for a number of years. And I actually developed the first beginner mountain biking course that the club offered.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so cool.
And the cool thing that I got out of that was a whole pile of new friends, because I taught all of these women how to ride. And there were other people that taught with me. But I taught these women how to ride, and then they became my riding partners and they became my friends, which was so amazing. But I got to see people change dramatically from when they first started, some of them being super nervous on the trail, not feeling confident on their bike, in their bike or their body on their bike and all of this stuff. And a year later, they're bombing down rock faces and hucking drops and things. So, and that may seem superficial, but they had to become the person who had the confidence to do those things. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that can't help but translate or influence their lives in general, like in other areas. So that's amazing.
So I see myself combining like the life coaching and the mountain biking, which would just be like my ultimate job ever.
Yeah. Well, that sounds exciting. And I know that's something that's kind of somewhat in the works. I mean, it's in your brain right now, and it's going to be realized at some point.
Yep, it
So
is.
that's pretty exciting. So is there anything, I mean, that may not be in your immediate future, but is there anything coming up, or any other projects, or what's next for you?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I'm actually working on that should be released fairly soon. The one was the small email course, so that people
Right.
can kind of get in. Anyone who hasn't been introduced to personal development, personal growth stuff yet,
Yeah.
this can be like they can like dip their toe in the water and get a sense of what that's like. And then the other thing is I actually want to now in business, we have mastermind circles. We're very familiar with mastermind circles. And what I want to do is create something, or what I am doing, I shouldn't say what I want to do, what I am doing, is creating something similar for single parents. So
Right.
and that kind of comes back to that community, right? Where people come together and support each other in a very practical way, talking about the challenges that we're facing, and having, input from others who understand what you're going through, right? Because as much as our families love us to bits, if they have never been a single parent, they do not understand our challenges.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very hard.
Something that as a single person or a married person is just kind of not a big deal. For a single parent, it can be like, oh my God, like that's just going to take so much time, or we just don't, we're so tired that we just don't have the mental energy for something, right? It can be something as simple as like planning the meals for the week. I talked to one woman who she was like, she was talking to a friend of hers, and the friend said, oh, well, that just takes 10 minutes. And she was like, no, you don't understand. That doesn't take 10 minutes for me.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all different in our, just the way we do things and timing and all that. So that's great. Yeah, that you're going to build a community that you're going to be able to just feel safe and talking about like whatever it is, no matter what it is.
That you can bring your challenges and actually get real solutions from other people who understand what you're, and it won't be, and I have to make this distinction. It's not going to be like bring your problem and drone on about it for 10 minutes. And then maybe you'll get a few tips in here. Like it's very strict you need to be very concise about what your actual challenge is. And then, you ask a question and then you get feedback on that, so that it keeps it very positive and forward facing, as opposed to like navel gazing, feeling sorry for ourselves, because that's not helpful.
Yeah, again, and it's not a pity party. It's focusing on the solutions and getting real, empathetic, practical advice from people who know and understand. So that's awesome. So is that going to be rolling out soon, or
yes,
when do you see that coming? Yeah.
I don't have a timeline yet. I'm actually working with another person on the timing, but I'm hoping for June.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. Well, that's coming up.
Which I know starts tomorrow, but it will be. I want it to be in June. That's the intention that I'm setting.
Awesome. That's great. Okay, well, I'm going to put all your information in the notes so that people can go to your website, and you have a Facebook group as well. You're also the co-author with me in the Pursuit 365 book. So I'll put a link there too, and they can read your story in there. So now I just want to chat with you a little bit about, we did a photo shoot together. Actually, we've done a couple of photo shoots together.
Yes.
So I just wanted to speak to a little bit to your experience, how you felt before and during and after your photo shoot. What was your kind of experience in that?
Well, I never had professional photos done before, so it was a total foreign experience to me. I came in and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. And, you did such a great job of making me feel really, really comfortable. I picked out a bunch of clothes and you worked with me to pick the exact outfits that I was going to wear and really helped me with the posing. And so I felt really comfortable right off the bat. And there were I had a tough time deciding which photos.
That's a common complaint. I'm trying to get better at not shooting so much, but yeah.
No, it's not a bad problem to have, but yeah, it was really tough. It was like, oh man, like how do I choose which are the photos that I really want? So, but like I said, that's not a bad problem to have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I know we met through networking and stuff, but was there anything in particular that, because I know there's other photographers in the group and other people you might have known. Was there anything that you liked kind of in particular about my work, or what drew you to it in the first place?
Yeah,
was it me? Was it my lovely personality?
Well, it was partly your lovely personality because you were delightful. But also, it was the fact that you'd been shooting for a really long time. And I'd seen your body of work, and I really liked the more, I guess you could call it journalistic style, that it was more, not so much about like posing with headshots, although I did get a few of those. Because you got to have one of those for business. But that there would be ones where it was like me in my natural habitat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right? And those, to be honest, are my favorite. I love the biking, the outdoor ones we did. Those were so much fun. And yeah, you were having a blast at the same time.
Yeah, I think my favorite photo was the biking photo that we did through the big giant puddle.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was so fun. And it was just like, it was a great time of year that we did it, because that puddle's only there for and it's deep, just for anybody watching it, it's like really deep. Like as I went through it, I got completely soaked.
Yeah, but we got the shot, so that's the main thing.
But we got the shot, yes.
Yeah,
and that's actually the awesome photo. That's actually the photo that I used in the Pursuit book.
It is, yeah. I'm so glad you picked that one. Yeah. So that's awesome. So, I mean, I know it's kind of a give, to me, it's a given that people need photos, but is there a tip, what's the number one tip you would give to a fellow entrepreneur that might encourage them to get their photos done? I'm talking more personal branding, lifestyle stuff that that we've done. I mean, and how do you think it's going to benefit them if you were to kind of?
Well, one, I think having a professional photo just, it gives you a little bit of extra confidence. Like when someone asks for your headshot and you have a proper professional headshot to send them, where you look your best, man, that feels good. I have no problem sending any of the headshots that we did off to somebody. And I feel like I can pick anyone and, feel really, really confident about what I'm sending them.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then let's see, the other part would be, I had another one. Remind me of the question. The ROI of having it.
Yeah, what would you, if you were to, tell somebody you really need to get some branding photos, why? What would you say?
Yeah.
If they're I don't understand why I need a headshot, or I don't know. I've had that. I've had people tell me that before.
Right.
And I'm
right.
okay, where should I start?
It's important to distinguish between a headshot and branding photos, right?
That's right.
A headshot is a nice, pretty picture of you, and that's great. And then branding photos really gives people a sense of who you are. So, you're choosing clothes, you're choosing a pose, you're choosing an environment that really represents at least part of your personality. Like the mountain biking photo, that's not all of my personality, but
exactly,
it's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Right? And so with, especially if you get a collection, you have an opportunity to show these varied aspects of your personality, because none of us is two-dimensional. right? You're not
Exactly.
just, yeah, you're not just a business owner. You are also, well, okay, I'll take my example. I am not just a business owner. I'm not just a life coach. I am someone who worked for our military for 14 years. I have extensive experience there. I am a mom. I am an athlete.
Yeah.
I actually, because I never looked at myself as an athlete, and I actually did a race a number of years ago, and at the end of it, I wrote a declaration that I am an athlete in a blog post, because I think it's important that we acknowledge all of these different parts of ourselves and share them with people, because when they get to see the many facets of who we are, like you become a whole real person to them, even though they've only ever seen you in social media or they've only ever seen your website. You become there's a depth that grows for them.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah. And now with us being on social media a lot, on video, on Zoom, there's so many ways. I mean, and there is a place for selfies, but it's having the opportunity to continually share the many facets of your life and your personality, through like all these different avenues, professional, personal branding, shoots, photos, videos, and, when you're out and about, your stories and selfies, and they all kind of have a place. So I think it's really exciting. So I'm really enjoying this the world we live in. I mean, minus the COVID, but it's really kind of making it so much easier for us to really know, and trust the people we want to work with and be friends with and have relationships with. So, and that's the beauty of what I do. I love to keep the clients I work with, because we can build on what we did before, and the next shoot we can create a whole other collection of images that show the more facets of you and your business and how it's growing and evolving. And we'll chat about that later. But it's super exciting. So thanks for sharing that. And I know that your photos are still serving you well. And, but there will be a time you're going to, hey, I'm ready. I'm kind of a new stage, and, you've grown in your business, and there's going to be, other areas that you're going to want to share, of your life and business and personality and all that kind of stuff. So it's quite exciting.
Yeah. And one of the tricky things that I had was trying to figure out, do I want to have photos with my son or not for my business? And I ended up electing not to. I don't know if I'll change that in the future. It will really kind of depend on him too. That's always, that's a tough one. Like, am I showing up as a parent if none of the photos have my child in them?
Right. Yeah. Well, there's ways to do it if you don't want to show his identity, but there's ways of showing him in a way that doesn't show him. You know what I mean? If that's a concern, but I think it would be good, because, you're showing, your life as a mom, that aspect of you that's very important, as a single parent coach.
Yeah. So, plus my kid's super cute.
Yeah, he is. I was just looking at a picture of him today. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's really, I could see his little face changing as he's growing up. He's so
it's trippy. It's so trippy.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Carmel. I'm so glad we finally got to have you on the show and for sharing everything. And I think it was perfect timing, just because now you've been able to share all your dreams, your ultimate vision for your transformational programs, and your upcoming email challenge, or what did you call it?
It's not a challenge. It's just a mini email course. It's
an email course. Yeah. And everything that you've got going on. So, like I said, I'm going to include all your website information so people can get in touch with you and learn more about what you do. And thank you so much. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. And thanks for having me on here. This was really fun. I get to chit chat with my friend, and
Exactly. I know, it's so funny. I was just telling somebody the other day, most of my clients are my friends. It just happens automatically, I think. So
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
it is. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
All right. Well, I will talk to you soon. And thanks for everybody for watching, and have a great day. Linda Mackey Creative and the Eloquent Entrepreneur. Bye for now.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Eloquent Entrepreneur, Conversations with Everyday Changemakers, and that you're feeling supercharged and inspired to make your positive impact in the world. Because one thing I know for sure is that together we can create a lasting legacy and ignite others to do the same. To learn more about The Eloquent Entrepreneur and more, visit my website at lindamackey.ca. Bye for now.